So, if you're a Chicago Sky fan, yesterday might be one of the more disastrous days for you. And you might be wondering, why was it a disaster? We haven't played any games. The Chicago Sky have had a blur of a season, both on and off the court. And now, they've dropped a surprise that's left fans stunned. The team has released, traded, and lost a staggering number of players, reshaping the squad in a way that nobody saw coming. Let's break it down. 11 players are gone in 2024 alone. At the start of the 2024 season, the Chicago Sky roster was buzzing with promise. Fans were excited, analysts were hopeful, and the hype was real. But as the season went on, it became painfully clear that what people thought would happen didn't. A lot of people thought Kaiser Gondrezick would do well with the Sky. She was the 4th pick in the draft and brought talent and promise to Chicago. The story was simple. This was her chance to make things right after a rough start to her career. The Sky even called her a possible quad X factor and talked up her ability to make shots and score when the pressure was on. But Kaiser had a hard time when the lights were on full. Her shooting percentages weren't great, her defense wasn't always solid, and she was having trouble fitting in with the team system. Her comeback story turned into a story of broken promises. Her exit after only one season made fans wonder what went wrong. Brenna Maxwell is the next one. Coming out of college, she was touted as a sharpshooter with incredible range. The Sky saw her as someone who could stretch the floor and provide an offensive spark off the bench. Fans were thrilled about the idea of Maxwell lighting it up from beyond the arc. Instead, Maxwell rarely got the chance to showcase her skills. Limited minutes and inconsistent performances led to her being waived. While she's back on a rookie-scale contract, the initial hype has cooled significantly, leaving fans unsure if she can truly develop into the player the Sky hoped for. Taya Reimer came in with veteran poise and a reputation for being a solid presence in the post. While she wasn't expected to be a superstar, her reliability was supposed to help stabilize the front court. Unfortunately, Reimer failed to make an impact. Her minutes were sporadic, her production was minimal, and ultimately, the Sky decided to move on, waiving her before the season even hit its stride. Robin Parks and Ksenia Malashka were two players who generated intrigue for their international and collegiate achievements. Parks was known for her scoring ability overseas, while Malashka was a rising prospect with a versatile game. Fans hoped they could be hidden gems for the Sky's roster, but that excitement never materialized. Parks never suited up for the Sky, and Malashka didn't get a chance to develop with the team. By renouncing their rights, Chicago basically closed the door on what could have been two breakout stories. These players were supposed to form the core of the Sky's rebuild. But inconsistency, lack of opportunity, and perhaps even bad roster management led to disappointment across the board. Chicago fans are now left wondering, was this roster doomed from the start, or did the front office mismanage the talent they had? Let's talk about Liu Eru, a player with towering potential, literally and figuratively. Standing tall, she was supposed to be Chicago's answer to dominating the paint. Fans were excited when she joined, hoping her international experience would translate into WNBA success. The hype was real. She had led China to the FIBA Women's World Cup final and was touted as one of the best centers outside the US. But her production didn't match the promise. Struggles with consistency and fitting into the Sky's system left both the team and fans frustrated. And then there's Julie Alamand, a maestro in Europe and a rising star internationally. She came to the WNBA with a reputation for elite court vision and playmaking. The Sky needed someone to step into the role of floor general, and Alamand seemed like the perfect fit. But the hype fizzled quickly. Her offensive contributions were underwhelming, and while she had moments of brilliance, they were too few and far between to elevate the team. Now she's headed to the Sparks in what feels like a what-could-have-been situation for the Sky. But the deal that shook the league to its core was Kahleah Copper. This wasn't just a player. This was the player for Chicago. Copper brought swagger, grit, and leadership every time she stepped onto the court. The hype surrounding her wasn't just about her skills. It was about her identity as the face of the franchise. Yet, 2024 was marred by frustration. The team's lackluster performance dragged her down, and eventually, Copper requested a trade to the Phoenix Mercury. Fans were heartbroken but couldn't entirely blame her. The front office's inability to build a competitive roster around her made it clear Copper wasn't going to waste her prime in a rebuild. Still, it stings to see a player of her caliber leave, knowing she could have been the centerpiece of a revitalized Sky dynasty. The fans? They were hyped for what these players could bring. They believed in the vision. But when the on-court results didn't match the off-season excitement, disappointment set in. Liueru and Julie Alamand are gone, Kalia Copper is gone, and with them, a significant chunk of what the Sky hoped would lead them to glory. If you liked the video, then please like the video and share it with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about Courtney Williams for a second. She came to Chicago as a big-name signing, fresh off an all-star appearance and known for her electric energy and clutch performances. Fans were hyped. She was supposed to be the perfect complement to Kalia Copper, a versatile scorer who could stretch the floor and make big plays in crunch time. But what happened? Williams had moments, sure, but consistency was her Achilles heel. Some nights, she'd light it up. Other nights you'd forget she was even on the court. For a player with her reputation, she failed to deliver the kind of leadership and reliability the Sky desperately needed. Then there's Alana Smith, a player many thought would be the Sky's secret weapon. She was hyped as a defensive anchor with a developing offensive game. Her ability to protect the rim, hit mid-range jumpers, and stretch defenses with her three-point shooting made her a valuable asset. The Sky were counting on her to take the next step in her development and become a core piece of their rebuild. But let's be real, Smith didn't quite live up to the billing. While she showed flashes of brilliance, those flashes were too far apart. Defensive lapses and inconsistency on offense left the Sky wondering if she was the player they thought they were investing in. The promise was there, but the production? Not so much. The hype around Williams and Smith wasn't just about their individual skills. It was about what they could do together. The Sky envisioned a duo that could lock down opponents defensively while dominating offensively. Fans believed this was the beginning of a new era. Instead, it turned into a season of unmet expectations. And let's not forget the pressure these players were under. When you're brought in as a cornerstone for a team trying to rebuild, the expectations can weigh heavy. Maybe that's what happened with Williams and Smith. The hype just didn't match the reality. And now, they're off to the Minnesota Lynx, leaving Sky fans wondering what could have been. There were glimpses of greatness, moments that made you think, maybe they figured it out. But glimpses aren't enough in the WNBA, where every game counts. Margins are razor thin, and the Sky needed consistency. That's where Williams and Smith ultimately fell short. Now, with both players headed to the Lynx, it's a fresh start for them. But for the Sky, it's another chapter closed without the ending fans had hoped for. And these weren't the only players to leave. Combined with trades and other free agency moves, the Sky's roster is nearly unrecognizable, and so are their playoff chances. All these moves come on the heels of a season where the Sky failed to make the playoffs. These losses didn't just hurt the roster, they shattered team chemistry. It's no wonder they couldn't find a rhythm on the court. Now the Sky are trying to bounce back by signing Camila Cardoso and Lindsay Allen. Sure, these are solid pickups, but can they really fill the shoes of Copper, Williams, and Harrison? That's a tall order. And for those thinking the Sky could turn things around with Angel Reese, think again. The way she is replicating what Caitlin Clark has done with the Indiana Fever? That's nearly impossible. Clark's success is one of a kind, and unless the Sky can find a player of her caliber, and fast, this rebuild might take longer than anyone is prepared for. So, where does this leave the Chicago Sky? They've lost key players, traded away future promise, and signed replacements that might not be enough. The 2024 offseason has been wild, but the question remains, can the Sky rise again? Or are they headed for another season of heartbreak? Angel Reese is a name that's been on many lips. After dominating the college scene and helping LSU secure a national championship, Reese has become one of the most marketable and talked about young players in basketball. Her charisma, talent, and swagger have made her a household name. So naturally, some fans are dreaming of her joining the Chicago Sky to turn the team's fortunes around. Here's the harsh reality. Not even Angel Reese can replicate the magic Caitlin Clark has brought to the Indiana Fever, especially not with the current state of the Chicago Sky. Clark has done what no one thought possible, completely transforming a struggling Fever franchise into a competitive team with her insane scoring ability, floor vision, and leadership. Her impact is immediate and undeniable. But why can't Reese do the same for the Sky? First, let's talk about team dynamics. Clark joined a Fever team that was ready to build around her, putting the right pieces in place to amplify her skills. The Sky, on the other hand, are in disarray. They've lost their cornerstone players like Kalia Copper and Courtney Williams. The chemistry is broken, and the roster lacks a clear identity. Reese doesn't have the same ability to take over games single-handedly, especially at the professional level. She excels in the post and on the boards, but that won't fix the Sky's deeper issues with perimeter defense, shooting, and ball movement. Let's not forget, the Sky's struggles aren't just about losing star players. They're systemic. Turnovers, defensive lapses, inconsistent shooting. The problems go far beyond what one player, no matter how talented, can solve. And then there's the weight of expectations. Reese is seen as the savior of the franchise. That's an enormous burden for any player, especially one just starting their professional career. The constant comparisons to Caitlin Clark and the pressure to immediately turn the team around could stifle her growth instead of fostering it. Fans would expect results immediately, but the reality is that rebuilding takes time, and the Sky are far from a quick fix. Reese deserves a chance to develop in an environment that supports her, not one that's already in turmoil. The Sky need more than just one star player. They need a complete overhaul. It'll take time, smart trades, and a lot of patience to get this team back on track. Angel Reese might one day be the face of a WNBA franchise, but for now, she's better off joining a team with a clear goal and the pieces to help her succeed. And as for the Chicago Sky, they need to focus on rebuilding from the ground up, not banking on a single player to save the day. Was this the right move for the Sky, or did they just give away their future? Don't forget to like, follow, and hit that notification bell for more WNBA updates. Thanks for watching, and subscribe this channel.